Documentary theater is one of the social theater forms. It is also based on real events and personal stories. Therefore, it can be a powerful tool to work out the problem of violence. Personal stories allow the group to see the real consequences of violence and understand how it can affect our life. First, a host gives guidelines to a future performance. It takes place in groups of 3 or 4 people. Each participant recalls their personal story on the topic you've chosen with the group. Topics are related to the problem of violence. It can be hard and unsafe to share personal experiences of violence. Tell the participants that they may choose a story they have seen or they know about. The host asks the storytellers to divide their stories into 3 parts: introduction, culmination, and conclusion. Each consists of 3 or 4 sentences. The host asks the participants to focus on their feelings and emotions. This ensures the necessary emotional immersion. Performance is always an improvisation. There is no rehearsal. The participants sit down on chairs and tell their stories in parts. First, each tells their 3 or 4 sentences of introduction. Then they tell their 3 or 4 sentences of culmination and then of conclusion. This is how the overall story is shaped. Therefore, it is easier for each storyteller to live through a personal story. I am 5 years old. I'm standing in front of a large mirror, wearing my mother's necklace, shoes, and lipstick. My story is modern. A few years ago, I was hosting an international webinar on the problem of violence. Often people who want to discuss this topic tend to have negative opinions. When I was 14, on a hot summer day, my grandfather and I decided to go for a walk. I was wearing small shorts. As a child, I often worried that I was small and people do not take me seriously. I'm looking in the mirror and I like my image very much. I think I look a lot like my mother. And my mother is very beautiful and feminine. I am hosting a webinar. Everything is fine. Afterwards, we post a video record, and the first comment under the video is a question. Who the hell is the speaker? Is it a woman or a man? By the way, I had an ultra-short haircut back then. So, we are walking down the street with my grandfather, and there is an old woman. She looks at me and says, "What the hell are you wearing?" Once I share my doubts about my age with a close adult of mine. And as a reply, I heard a proverb, "A small dog is always a puppy." It was so unpleasant. My mother came into the room. She said I looked like a monkey. She said I was a bad girl. And for a very long time after, I could not accept my femininity, my desire to look beautiful. Fortunately, by that moment, doubts about whether I was a woman or a man no longer was a problem for me. So I looked at this comment, took a deep breath, and continued to work. Luckily, my grandpa, who was walking next to me, came to my defense and said, "If you have beautiful legs, why hide them?" Fortunately, all people get older, get wiser. And I am probably not an exception. Therefore, I have reached the point where my age is quite satisfactory to me. When the first group of participants finished their story, you may have another performance with the next group. After the performance, invite the group to discuss their feelings, thoughts, and reactions to what they saw and heard. Discuss possible solutions to the chosen aspect of violence. Answer the questions, what to do in such a situation, and what can I personally do? Here, the host acts as an expert. He or she helps participants to perceive the idea and to qualify the situation from the viewpoint of legal responsibility as well. Together with the discussion, you may also use additional materials on the chosen topic if you think they may help. Examples of those that we used are under this video. It is important to remember that documentary theater performance may involve complicated and even traumatic events. Therefore, it is always necessary to ensure emotional safety of participants and provide support in discussing of what they saw and heard.